Okay, this is the GHD Duet style. It's literally been released a few days ago, and it's £379. It is absolutely massive. It's reasonably heavy. I think I weighed it at 538 grams or 535 grams. Now, as we all know, GHD offer no spares, no repairs, absolutely nothing. So the absolute minimum I want to be able to offer on this is to be able to replace the mains cable when the dog's chewed through it. If you've got to scrap a pair of nearly 400 pounds irons because the cable's damaged and it can't be replaced, there's going to be uproar, I would think. As I said in my review video, this flexible plastic, I don't know whether that's a good thing or not, and it will actually stop the arms breaking if somebody accidentally does tread on them. I just don't know. I have absolutely no idea how to get into these, but we are going to have a look. So on each arm we have two elements that are floating on silicone. We've got an end piece that again is floating around, same the other side, two elements, the end piece and this fixed grill in the middle. We've got some decorative sides here that look like they might pry off now, and the same with this plastic ring on the end. I can see that is clipped into place, at least two places, and one at the top as well, so you can actually see that. Now I know GHD don't want anybody repairing their equipment. The last pair of irons that came out, they've done everything possible to make them non-repairable. If you recall, the ceramic plate, the plastic mount doesn't slide off anymore. There's a little notch in the metal, and that plastic plate or the mount clicks in place. You cannot slide it off to make a repair easy. You've actually got to prise it off at the sides, and it's very likely to break when you do that. Just looking at these marks on here already, there's some moulding marks. Anyway, let's get into this. So it looks to me like we're going to have to take this end ring off first of all. We've also got a rubber piece there, and indeed that lifts off to expose two small screws. So that is something. So just seeing if this will just prise off that. Oh yeah, and it does. I was not expecting that. So you can pull that off relatively easy. Don't think we've caused any damage there, and that hasn't really exposed anything other than this little, is that plastic? Let's have a little look. I think that's, I can't tell with my gloves on. Is that plastic? I think it probably is plastic. Looking for a magnet. Hang on a second. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's actually a little bit of a track in there, so I'm wondering in fact if that is a stainless steel filter for the air to go through. Obviously don't want to be sucking anything too large in there. So yeah, I've got a sneaky feeling that might be a stainless steel grill. Okay, well, as there's nothing obvious other than these two screws, we are going to loosen these and see what happens. Again, a bit of an odd size. Let me go down a screwdriver and see. Yeah, probably something in between the two that I would normally use on GHDs. So have we got any signs of that helping with anything? Not really. Does anything come out the end? Nope. So it does look like this comes apart. Yeah, not obvious how though. What about these side pieces? Nothing obvious there. Got to hope they're not just stuck on. This piece definitely looks like it wants to come off. Just this area here is a separate piece as far as I can tell. This does not want to move, so that's the two screws haven't really helped very much. Just didn't really want to mark this, but what have we got for minimum damage? The usual spudger, I suppose. There we go, that's come off there. We get into this side. Oh, that's cracked that plastic already. Wow, that is brittle. Oh, not good. I did say when I started this that I know GHD don't want anything being repaired, and there we go, that's got that off, I think. Yeah, and what happened to the plastic? Has it actually just... Let's see if we can just roll that back on there. I think it's a crack in the plastic. Anyway, let's not worry about that too much. Okay, so that is the, I'm going to call this the cable cover, and we've got some dates on here. Let's have a little look. So 22, yeah, can't really tell. Definitely 2022. I've got 8, 9 and 12s with the little marks on. PBT is what it's made of, I guess, and there's a part number just in there, but yeah, whatever. Now it looks like we have a little tag there that can be pressed in, and possibly this slides out then. No, it looks like it is, but it doesn't really move. Looks like this bottom arm's got to come off. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there we go. There's a bit of broken plastic already. That has come off. There you are. That plastic is so fragile on the side there that it has already broken when I tried to prise that apart. That is so thin there. Wow. Oh, okay. That's interesting. That has just pulled out. Didn't mean to do that, but it has. You can see it's just come up at the end. That is a hell of a grip it's got under there. Yeah, that's where the socket is, and that has actually, it's also where the fan blade is. Now, what is stopping that coming out? Well, the wires, by the looks of it. So it really does want to come apart more from there. Okay, so let's try that again. Cool. Tell you what, I really don't think these are going to be doable other than the mains cable, which I can't actually get to. Right, so you can see the cable and socket in there. It's not obvious how that is being held in place. So we've got the brown and blue cables. They've got a bit of Captain tape around them because they are actually touching that metal piece of the, you can see in, let me put the glasses back on, you can see in there the motor, sorry, the fan. It's in a metal cylinder and those wires run along that metal cylinder, and it looks reasonably sharp to me, but they are wrapped with Captain tape. I mean, they are touching the metal, so yeah, not sure about that. Now, how are we going to get this out without damaging anything? How does that come out of there? Have to look at this white piece of plastic, and that's not coming out. There's little clips all around it. Yeah, this is going to be a bit tricky to get out as well. See if we can use these and just pinch that in. Again, I should imagine they've done everything they possibly can to stop anyone trying to change this. Ah, okay, well that's broken that as well. And now we can see that that socket is in fact held in place with just little bits of plastic that spring out. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see it. I don't think it's very clear. There you go, you can probably see there. So that is all the way around. We've got bits that need pushing in. Yeah, they have made that tricky. You really need some of a circular tool that squeezes all the way around. Ooh, how could we do that? I suppose could we use a couple of these bent into a semicircle? Not really. Let's try with a flat blade, if we can just... Yeah, that's not having it. Sneaky buggers. You kind of need 3 pairs of hands here. Sorry, 2 pairs of hands perhaps. problem here is you can't get any bit of it coming out. You know, normally if you pour something, you can pop one of these, it will just come out and stick just enough so you can get it out and then work your way around, but it's not having it. I think we're going to need a number of things. It's stuck in here, so let's try one of those in there, one of those the other side, and let's see if we can get that to move anyway now. Put in the cable. We need a bloody third spudger. What have we got? That's 3 spudgers in there. So I can do the other one by hand. And what will that pull out now? Nope. Oh, you bugger. I suppose you could risk breaking 2, but and then leave a 2 in, but I'd rather not. Let's try this again. Socket does not want to come out. I'm going to pause this. Okay, so what I did was squeezed 2 of them in really tightly and then just pushed in. And okay, so we managed to get the end off, and I've just reassembled that. So we've got a bit of broken plastic out of the side here. I think you're going to have to expect that, and might have to explain that to the customer, but if it's the only way to save the irons, they might put up with it. God, it's so thin, that plastic. I mean, it's no surprise that it broke. I don't think there's much chance of sticking that back together. I'm trying to see actually in which... oh, I see, yeah. Well, it actually came off as soon as I pried that up there, so you know that really is quite the problem. So we're going to carry on and see if we can get into this further. It looks like this bottom cover needs to be levered off, maybe these side panels as well, but I've got a sneaky feeling these side panels are not clipped in place. I think they might be just stuck on pads. I hope that's not the case, but maybe they don't even need to come off, although the hinge is there, and trying to see, it looks like that hinge is just a pin that's been knocked through, so these covers are definitely going to have to come off. So I think that'll be the next stage. Let's see if we can get in here, and maybe I'm wrong, they do clip it off. That doesn't feel like clips, it feels like sticky pads down here. have a look. Okay, so we've got some sticky tape at that end, and then you've got two, yeah, so let me show you. There's some clips here, here and here, sticky tape here, and you've actually got two metal spring clips holding the sides together. That's interesting. And as I said, there is the hinge pin there, and it literally looks like it knocks out the side. It's not a, well, I don't know, it's not a, doesn't look like any sort of screw, so I think we're going to have to just unclip this side and just lift this plastic off without doing any damage. You're probably going to have to replace this sticky tape yourself. So again, exactly the same. I think we've just marked it there. Again, it's very, very fragile. So we've got clips either side. Just going to have a look at that hinge pin and see if that is something that just pushes out. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Have a closer look. You can see that the surround has a slot cut in it, but you can't spin that around. Same the other side. It's flat, it's rounded and flat edged, so it's not going to spin. So maybe we just need to leave that where it is and unclip these spring clips. So let's do that. And that's 1, 2, 3. Let's get the cable end off whilst we're here. That's that. And a cable. Now, probably better to take these off so you're away from the good plastic. You're not levering on anything that's going to show. So there we are, 4 clips. Now, will that just come apart? I suspect probably not. I see a spring that's in a little turret, short turret, that is causing that to pop open. I do not see how that hinge comes apart. Yeah, you definitely can't spin it round. Is that a plastic cap of some description? Let's have a closer look. Seems flexible. Interesting. Let's give it a tap perhaps with something heavier. Let's see if it will budge. Well, and obviously so. if this plastic bit pops out. Oh man, that's not obvious either. What we're doing is marking the plastic there. Yeah, definitely is not happy about anyone trying to take it apart, that's for sure. So it looks like we've got arm covers, and that's what this is. Yeah, we have. Can we get that off without doing massive amounts of damage? I'm sure that we can. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I think we got that off pretty much intact. So that is a big old cover there. Get that to one side, and now you can see the wiring to the elements. We've got 4 wires to each element, as you can see there. We've got a screw at the tip here, so that is obviously holding the end piece on. There we go, that is that little flexible piece. That's plastic and a couple of little silicone spongy type pieces to give them a bit of give that a bit of movement. There's 2 screws here as well that will be holding probably the inner cover in place. So let's get these 2 screws out. They are very long, so they are definitely holding that cover on. Ah, here we go. Here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. We can now see more of the internals. Just does not want to come apart at the end here for some reason. Let's see. Not stopping that. Oh. Nothing real obvious. We have the wires going up into this arm. That's one thing that's stopping that, so I'm going to have to assume that this arm cover also comes off, and that again is partially stuck down at this end. So we've got glue there, that is the on-off switch. We're going to have to be a bit careful there. So, yeah. So there's a lot of sticky stuff holding this down. Go. That's got that off. There's the switch assembly there. That is just held in place, and then the plastic is melted over on the little pillars to hold it in place. If I can get that in focus. Dates on here again, 22. First date that's available is 21. So hopefully we didn't do anything there. Oh, we have the tiniest little switch here. That is the on-off switch, then you've got the push switch there. Again, 4 wires going up to the elements. Got a screw in the end again for that little piece here that just moves up and down. So this time it looks like the elements probably come out sideways. Maybe not, because they are slotted in here, because you can see the moulding where my finger is there, so they're actually into there, and then at the other end they're butted up against this, so it's going to be interesting how they actually come out. So we have soldered connections on the board for the wires. So what I'm going to do is lift off that Captain tape here, along with the other tape that's holding everything together. We'll just pull that off, and I'm going to undo this screw here, because that has got to be, oh no, that's broken, that bit of plastic, so that has snapped off the arm, I would say, by the looks of it. Which arm have we just taken off? That one. So where did that break off from, if it is indeed broken? Ah, yeah. Okay, so sneaky sods, what they've done is they have put a screw here. See that screw there? And the way to access that is through a hole that is in that switch cover here, by the looks of it. But that must mean that lights up somehow as well. So where is the LED that lights that up? Oh, all around. There's loads of LEDs that light up. So that means you're going to have to get this switch cover, as this switch assembly here, off to access that screw hole. Oh god, and they've just got that glued down by the looks of it. Yeah. So again, you're going to be risking damage here, and this is, yeah, screwed down. You've got to pull that off, and if I put this back in for the moment, you will see through there that screw. So you've got to take the switch cover off. That's a sneaky one, that. Good for them. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter when somebody's spent 380 quid to take them apart. We're going to find out all these little things. So that has now freed up the wires. There is a tiny little strip of silicone around there that the wires are resting on. And yeah, okay, so still can't get that arm off. It's I don't know what that arrangement there is. And I've also pulled one of the wires out already from one of the sockets on this board. See that blue wire just in there? That has come out. So it could be that you actually have to pull these wires out of these sockets. So we've got a brown one. There we go, a red one, and the blue that has already managed to come out. And we've also got a ribbon cable. You see that just in there? There is a ribbon cable just where my finger is. So we are going to just pull that out. that ribbon cable out. And there we go, that is just glue holding that down. So we have 3 wires going up to that board and the ribbon cable here, and that then goes into this one here, and the 3 wires. So that is that whole side off. So I think if somebody now we can now see the inner workings of the hinge, and it's not a pin that punches its way through, it's 2 separate hinge pieces, and it looks to me like that is clipped in place. So it looks like there's a metal pin going through into a nylon piece, but I don't know how that would come out. Can you push it out from the inside? Yes, you can. Let me get my glasses on and show you this sneaky arrangement. So if you look in there, this is a metal pin here. There's a nylon bushing here, and you can actually get in there and push that pin out. If you look on the other side now, you can see that it's actually hanging out, and if we pull, there it is, that's come out. Now I don't know whether that actually gets us anywhere or whether that whole piece needs to come out now, but let's push out the other one. So that's the pin out. Okay, so we've got 2 pins. Now I suspect we've got yet another situation where the black plastic on the outside is pushed through and it springs out at the back, and then that pin holds that in place. So we've got to push in both sides again, and that is quite stiff, if I'm right, of course, so, and it might not be. Yeah, pretty certain this has got to come out. It doesn't want it. See if we can use pliers again on the 2 sort of tabs. It look like they want to be pushed in, and there it goes. So yeah, that is about as tough as it gets. So that's that. That's how that comes out, and then I suspect the nylon pivot bearing, we'll call it, will just poke out. It's certainly gone there. Yeah, that needs to lift off of here now, I think. Yeah, I'm going to have to do the other side first, so let's spin this round and see if we can get that other piece out. Well, let me get my finger over it this time as well so it doesn't go flying off. There we go, that one's a little bit better. Bit of broken plastic there, did that break that? Yes it did, so that's not ideal. I doubt anyone's going to be wanting to change arms on this pair. Now we have got plastic fouling that now, so does that need pressing out? Yeah, they really have made this horribly awkward. I think that plastic should come out of there. There it goes. So you pull those bushings out towards the centre plane of the irons, and then these arms will separate. So that's those two out. There we go. And now gently that arm will come apart. So I don't really get why we've got so the air only comes out of this side. The this doesn't actually seem to do very much. So there's the spring I was talking about. There is the other part of the arm. Bushings, various bits of silicone. And that board looks like it's clipped in place. Still trying to work out how we get these elements out. It definitely looks like they've got to come out sideways. There we go. There we go. So they have used the same silicone that they've used for years and years back to the Mark IVs, so that's no different. The elements look like they are held together with metal clips, and the metal clips do not look like they are easily accessible. Again, to stop these being slid out, they have used this tactic of cutting a slot into the ceramic plate, and then this mount clicks and is in place in that slot. I don't know whether you can see it or not. Hopefully, yeah, there we go. You see that? It's the same both sides. So again, that is a sneaky little tactic. Try and stop us repairing them. It'll be very interesting to know what resistance is and everything these elements are, and how the thermistor is wired and thermal fuse and everything else. So we're going to be trying to get these apart. Now this board is clipped in place. Oh, it's not coming out with that. So let me just, blimey, yeah, it doesn't want to move. There's a clip this side. Not very flexible. They don't want this coming out either by the looks of it. There we go. So that is there. These have got to feed through there. They can't surely have been put in. There we go. So that all comes out. So that is a look at the arm and this grill. This is a removable piece by the looks of it. Yeah, that just slides in and out. If I'd known that, I would have taken it out first. There we go. So that is that bit. You can see the double-sided, very thin double-sided tape along there. All very fragile indeed. So that is that side. We're going to have a closer look at those probably in a separate video, but for the moment I'm going to carry on looking at this. We've got quite the arrangement. Here we have a small DC, I assume, fan. Actually, I could be wrong. Oh no, we've got a pretty certain that's going to be a DC power supply. I also see a fuse on the board. The rating is, I think it says 10 amp that you can see. Maybe you can't see. No, you can't see, it's hidden behind that pillar. You can probably only spin it around. Try and get it in focus. There's just a small fuse in there. This board is on a 2 headers, so that will lift up. I think this motor must be held in place with tape, sticky tape or something, because it is not budging. Ah, this one comes out. This is the small heating element in there. For some reason I thought it was blowing hot air out of both arms, but it clearly isn't. Okay, so let's get this bit of tape off, and then we'll get the elements out this side. So I think really you're going to be able to change the mains cable on this, but you know, apart from that, these are going to be a nightmare to try and do anything to. Sure, if the circuit board fuse has gone, you could strip all these down, but I suspect you're going to do you know, damage. That's the mains socket. I'm just unsticking from the motor, the fan rather. Okay, so it looks like we've got to get these out. Again, not obvious how. Outside again here. Okay, fair enough. There we go. Elements outside. That should give us a little bit of free room now to lift that up. Of course, the wiring is all, I was going to say it's soldered in place, but it's, is it? What have we got? Blue wires. Yeah, so some of the wires are soldered. Looks like the wires that are soldered, it says, what does that say? I think it's SNS something B, so I'm guessing that's sensor. Let's just whack a meter across these. That would do if it turn on. Come on. We've got another PIC controlled board. Again, would need to look under the microscope at that. Varnished in certain areas, this board. Okay, so let's chuck this onto the 2K range. Actually, might not be able to get a reading off of these because they are covered in varnish. Might have to wait until we scrape a bit more off. Let's check the elements. 409 ohms, 370 ohms. So we've got another. Oh, yeah, that definitely is the heaters. So. Bottom A heater, bottom B heater, top heater, live. Yeah. Okay, so what we will do is we will get these wires out of these push fit terminals. To unsolder those, see if that will, yeah, some sort of epoxy or something they've used on there that does not want to come off, so that is a pain in the ass. Yeah, you can melt through it. Yep, there we go, that's that side done. So underneath we've got a bit of a power supply. There we are, close up there. Little piezo buzzer I think on there. The little heater is fitted with these push fit connections. And we'll get that out now. There we are. Now, does that come out? Is there a thermal fuse in there? There we go. There is a cutout switch, and indeed there is a thermal. So very much like the GHD Air hairdryers and the Helios, there's a thermal cutout there, a thermal fuse just on there. Can we see the value? Yeah, can't quite read it. It's just, oh, hang on, 117C. So I think it's 117 degrees C. So that would make sense because the hot air wasn't blowing at the higher temperature. It was only blowing at the lower temperature, and you actually had to wait for the irons to cool down. So that would explain why. If this got too hot, then that thermal fuse is going to blow, and that is non-resettable, so you know, the irons would be knackered at that point. Now fortunately they have used rivets again, so you could replace that, although this plasticky piece here and silicone or whatever it is actually covering that. Let me just see if that will come out. I suspect it will. If you did want to replace the fuse, because they do fail, generally because people have let dirt block the irons, sorry, the hair dryers. Come on. There we go. So yeah, that is a fragile filament. Just bent that, but I can easily bend it back in place. So you would be able to cut that out, that thermal fuse, and replace it. And if you wanted to solder it in place, you've got access to either end. So solder it back in with some 300-degree solder. So that is fine and all doable. In there for the moment. So that is good. Right, so just need to unsolder this side, and then we'll get these further apart. I don't know what substance it is they've used, but you can certainly melt it with a soldering iron. Alright. But it does stink. So we have a little connector here that pulls out for the fan at the back. So now we should be able to pull these wires out for the elements, which we've done. So yeah, again you can see the shininess where they have sprayed certain areas of the board, probably to make it as tricky as possible to work on. Not that I ever expected anyone to take one of these apart. Now that leaves this board, which is very well in place. So this fan should, you would think, come out now. It's probably something holding it in. Oh look, we have a seal all the way around here. Look at this. That's going to be a bugger to put back in and out as required. Now how does this board come out? Looks like it's got to lift up and come out the end, but it's not obvious how to get this fan out. to give it a poke with a screw with a. Is that just glue? Oh, it's just that bloody sticky tape again, I think, holding it in place. Yeah, it is, I can see it. So probably a sponge of some sort just to cut the vibrations down. Yeah, there we go. Oh dear. Yeah, so a sticky sponge. Just a straightforward DC motor. Can't see any specs on it. If there are any, it'll be hidden underneath there. But we have the smallest wires. This is a 3-wire fan, and it actually looks like that connector pulls out, so you can see how fragile that is. So that's that. Now this board, there's a little standoff pillar. I think we're going to have to lift it up and then pull it backwards to get that out. There we go. And that is the other end. So it'd be interesting to see how you get to clean those grills. Parts of this seem to have been assembled, and then the plastic rivets have just been melted over. You see these here. Yeah, there's a couple of different bits here, and they've just been welded. Sorry, the rivets holding them together have just been welded shut. I can't quite tell. Oh, it's just this cover piece. That cover piece has been placed on with these 4 pieces that go through this main arm, and then they've just melted the plastic over rather than screw them in place, because they certainly don't expect you to take them apart, and they're certainly not repairable. You wouldn't be able to buy any of these parts because they don't sell spares. So that is that. Now a closer look at this circuit board, and that again is partially varnished. You can see where it's not at the end, and then they've gone over most of the rest of it. See if we recognise anything. Now I'm going to need to look under the microscope at these chips. It's possibly a TYN287 power supply control. 2105 degree resistors, can't see the rating. 10 mic, 400 volts, and a PJN 2145. Yeah, that was a 10 amp fuse. It's F100. So let me just do a little closer look there. There we go. So there we go. I suspect most engineers would be able to change the cable, but I think you're going to have to warn the customer of the extremely fragile nature of the arm. Trying to see the bit that I broke now. I can't. Oh yeah, it's actually the arm cover. So I managed to snap that piece out of that arm cover there. Yeah, very, very thin. Really not designed to be taken apart. So I'm sure everyone's interested in these elements. So let's get a reading off of them first of all. Actually, let's do the ones I've already unsoldered. So we've got 2 thick wires for the element, and that's, come on, oh, Jesus. So the elements fitted are, yeah, 414 ohms. It's a very weird value of element. And if we grab the blue wires, we're probably going through This one is 501, so that is very much like the GHD Gold thermistor values, but I really don't know what the situation is with that element reading. That seems quite high. Now, can we get into this? I'm not convinced we can, not without some damage. You can't slide them apart. And that metal spring clip looks like it goes right the way in, so I suspect looks like it's already got some damage on there. Actually, I don't think I did that. A couple of little dings in the let me show you that again. So there's two metal clips, the slots there. I think this is going to be almost impossible to get into. These are fit once spring clips, I suspect. Yeah, we can't pull the element out of there because it is not going to clear the plastic, and at this end they have covered up the end. So yeah. You know what, I might be wrong there. We might be able to prise this up. Yeah, we can. Whether it will go back ever again, I don't know, but yes, you can. Yeah, you can see that. Just a small metal clip, and you can get it out. So I'm going in from the top so we don't damage the element. The ceramic plate, and just see if we can. There, if you get it up one end, oops, there we go. Now, of course, we have the next problem of how do you clear that clip? So we've got the spring bits out, you can't slide it. It is moving now, but it won't clear the plastic. So we're now back to this problem of what do you do to get that out? Now, can we put a couple of spudgers down there and just bend that slightly? No, I don't think we can. I suppose in theory you would just break the tabs off at this point if you were trying to repair these. Don't really see how you're going to be able to lift them clear. Maybe you can. There is quite a bit of movement there actually. Okay, so it looks like you can actually twist that and lift it out. There we go. Yeah, so not the problem I thought it was. So there is one of the new mounts. There is the ceramic plate, very, very thin, very light aluminium. Don't think we've bent anything there, all looks good. It's so thin anyway, you just be able to bang it back together again. Now, we have a different thermal fuse arrangement this time. This time we have a soldered in, well, it's probably not soldered, it's tacked in with silver solder or spot welder or TIG or something. The thermal fuse in this particular case is 228. So yeah, closer look there, if it will focus. There we go. And nothing holding that in place apart from the tension that the rubber piece is putting on it when it is clipped in place. So yeah, interesting that they dispensed with the thermal adhesive that they used on the GHD Gold and Platinum Plus thermal fuses, and that is literally just crimped on probably 2 nickel wires. We're going to have the same issues probably as the Gold Platinum Plus range, where these wires potentially break, but they were repairable with care. Yeah, so there we go. Interesting £400 worth of bits we've got now. But we had to have a look at it. I know for sure we're going to have customers desperate to have a chewed cable changed, and now we've got it established that we can change that cable without too much trouble, because it is all available at that end. I think we can, you know, advertise that as a repair service. Yeah, with minimal damage, but we're just going to have to warn them that the likelihood of damaging the piece there is quite high. You can see actually, if you look on the other side, there is a clip. Oh, perhaps you can't see it, it's too bloody dark. This camera's not picking it up, but there's a little clip there. Oh, it's not a clip, it's a little piece sticking out, and that's what snapped off there. Probably didn't get it quite off properly, and the plastic decided just to give way. So it's probably my fault, but clearly not designed to be taken apart. So yeah, that is the guts of the GHD Duet style. Yeah, quite interesting. But yeah, nothing massive. I guess all of these elements would be interchangeable. The wires are different colours, and they're all soldered this side rather than push fit that we've got on this side. So yeah, interesting. Yeah, so there we go. I hope that was interesting, if nothing else.